The main aim initially for us, was, well, for me, was around staff awareness of the importance of early language, because, you know, we still was, here we were getting children that still had their dummies, still, you know, still was on bottles, and parents spoke for them, and, you know, they didn't quite, it wasn't quite right. So, and staff with not really understanding how limiting that can be, and the impact of not being able to speak can happen when you're 5 and, you know, you've got this formal education, you're in class of 30, it's a completely different. So that was the main aim initially, was to get a basic awareness for all our team on early language development.
The wind tugged and the trees went from left to right, and they creaked and they groaned. It looks like he's going to have to pull his pillow over his head because he's very scared to get to sleep.
I think these days it's noticeable that children do come in with quite poor language skills for various reasons, and it's important as a class teacher to try and put these language deficiencies to rights in a way, because before children can read, they need to be able to speak. Before children can write, they need to be able to read as well. So it's all intertwined. You can't really do one without the other. And looking at language, it's crucial that we do get things in place if children are experiencing difficulties.
I think that I can ECAP, the activities that we've got from the training that I've obviously brought on into the setting and showed the other staff members, it's given a label and a name for the activities that have probably been going on for a long time, but once you give it a label and a name, then it feels much more important all of a sudden. New skills are always a challenge at first, but then you get excitement out of it because it's something different. Just as a child, us adults do it as well.
Speech and language is a national priority. It's been recognised that children are encountering school with not the required skills, or beginning school with not the required skills. So it is something that we've really promoted here, and we're now bringing it into the children's centre part of it. We are hopeful in September of starting a Natterjats group, which is looking at those children 18 months plus. We're hoping that our partners in health will refer them in from their 18-month check, and we will run workshops around with the parent around promoting speech and language together, and rhyme box, all different kind of things. We have got a speech and language therapist who's going to come along hopefully and run those sessions for us. So we're hitting it in both. We're hitting it before they come to the nursery, and once they're here at the nursery, and then going through school.
Percy the park keeper couldn't sleep outside. His hut was in a great big storm, and it was raging thunder and lightning. Well, what I tried to do was I tried to get a group that was a little bit mixed, some of them not usually as vocal as others. I mean, they always do social groups together, but I just tried to get a bit of a mix and a bit of a happy medium to flow in the activity, really. And they're going to be wet and cold.
But if the hour goes in, he can't fly anymore.
Well, we might not be able to if his wings get wet, mightn't he not? Because they're not made to swim in water, are they not? In that particular session, I was trying to achieve for the children to be doing stuff inside where we sat as a circle time as we would usually, but then also getting it outside where they can explore the playground and still use language and communication, because we see that it's not as much outside. We have a few cold spots, so I want to get that outside and show that we're, promoting the communication outside as well as in.
Is Incy Wincy Spider in there, Carla? Does he look cosy?
Just looking for them to interact with each other as well, not me, for them all to put their implement in it, from the story, talk about the story, the animals, about what would happen if a storm come, just for them to just talk about it.
Can we go outside a tree?
We can do, yeah.
Why don't we do one over there?
We could do. We can have a go again after dinner.
Children are actually quite caring about one another, and children learn from one another as well. When you've got a mixed group ability, where you have a child perhaps whose language isn't as proficient as somebody else, you watch the way this child observes other children, the way the child copies other children or imitates other children, and perhaps they use that language again in different situations. But you can tell that the best really teachers are the peers themselves. You know, you can model language, but quite often it's children that prefer to communicate with children. You are there just to facilitate that.
We've done a lot of research on our environment. We've looked at hotspots and non-hotspots, which is looking at where are the children playing and where is a good language-rich activity or area and which isn't. And then we look at the ones that are not and how we can enhance that and add things to it and, you know, make it so that children are able to choose their own and use their own languages. But what we will do is in them areas that are not, we will put a practitioner in there. We tend to always have a person within each area that it's their responsibility